Hey there, curious minds. Today we're diving deep into a serious topic that deserves our attention and empathy, the crisis in Somalia. But don't worry, we're not here to bring you down with gloom and doom. Instead, we're going to break down the situation in a fun and playful way, while still giving it the seriousness it deserves. So, grab your popcorn and get ready to learn something new about the world around us. First off, let's start with some facts. Did you know that Somalia has been in a state of conflict for over 3 decades? That's right, since the collapse of its central government in 1991, Somalia has been plagued by violence, poverty, and instability. The lack of a functioning government has created a society in crisis. With no centralized authority to enforce the law, Somalia has become a hotbed of violence, corruption, and poverty. The absence of a government has left millions of Somalis without access to basic services like healthcare, education, and clean water. The country's economy is in shambles, with unemployment rates skyrocketing and many struggling to put food on the table. The power vacuum has also given rise to armed groups and militias vying for control. These groups often resort to violence and intimidation to maintain their hold on power, leading to widespread human rights abuses and displacement of innocent civilians. The crisis in Somalia has led to one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Millions have been forced to flee their homes, seeking refuge in overcrowded and underfunded camps. With no end in sight, the future of Somalia remains uncertain. Somalia has a complex history, shaped by colonization and foreign interference. The country was colonized by Italy and Britain in the late 19th century, and after gaining independence in 1960, Somalia was ruled by a series of military dictatorships. This led to a civil war in the 1990s, which has continued to this day. Clan divisions have also played a significant role in Somalia's instability. The country is divided into several clan-based regions, each with their own political and economic interests. This has created a volatile environment where violence and conflict are often used to resolve disputes. Poverty and unemployment are also major contributors to the crisis. With little opportunity for education or employment, many young Somalis turn to armed groups or piracy as a means of survival. International aid and assistance have been a lifeline for many Somalis, but they have also created dependency and hindered the development of a self-sufficient economy. The Somali government has struggled to assert its authority and effectively manage aid and resources. Political reforms and peace talks have been a major focus in recent years. The federal government of Somalia has worked with international partners and regional administrations to create a more inclusive and representative government. This has led to the adoption of a new constitution and the establishment of federal member states. Community-led initiatives have also played a significant role in addressing the crisis. Grassroots organizations have emerged to provide basic services, promote peace-building, and empower marginalized communities. These initiatives have had a positive impact, particularly in rural areas where the government has limited presence. Economic development is another key area of focus. Efforts are underway to rebuild infrastructure, attract foreign investment, and create job opportunities. The government has implemented policies too. International aid and assistance continue to play a critical role in addressing the crisis. Donors have provided significant funding for humanitarian and development programs, but there are concerns about. Despite these efforts, there are still significant challenges and obstacles to overcome. Security remains a major concern, with ongoing violence and attacks by armed groups. Corruption and weak institutions continue to hinder progress, and there are disagreements over power sharing and resource allocation. The crisis in Somalia has led to one of the world's largest and most protracted displacement crises. Millions of Somalis have been forced to flee their homes due to conflict, drought, and other disasters. Many have sought refuge in neighboring countries or within Somalia, living in overcrowded camps and facing severe humanitarian needs. Healthcare and education are also major challenges for the Somali people. With a weak healthcare system and limited access to basic services, many Somalis suffer from preventable diseases and poor health outcomes. The education system is also underdeveloped, with low enrollment rates and poor. Gender-based violence and human rights abuses are pervasive in Somalia. Women and girls are particularly vulnerable to violence and discrimination, and sexual violence is a common tactic used by armed groups. Human rights abuses, including extrajudicial killings and arbitrary detentions, also occur. The crisis has also taken a toll on the mental health and well-being of the Somali people. Many have experienced trauma and loss, and there is a significant need for psychosocial support and mental health services. Life in Somalia is marked by uncertainty and instability. Without a functioning government or authorities, basic services such as healthcare, education, and security are often unavailable. Many Somalis live in poverty and face significant challenges in accessing food, water, and shelter. Obtaining identification documents is a significant challenge in Somalia. Without proper identification, Somalis are often unable to access basic services or participate in political processes. In recent years, efforts have been made to increase access to identification documents, but there are still significant barriers, particularly for marginalized communities. Security and safety are major concerns for Somalis. Without a functioning government or authorities, armed groups have been able to operate with impunity, leading to widespread violence and insecurity. In the absence of a functioning government, community-led initiatives have emerged to address the needs of Somalis. These initiatives include grassroots organizations providing basic services and promoting peace building, as well as traditional systems of governance that have been in place for centuries. The crisis in Somalia is a complex and multifaceted issue that requires sustained attention and support from the international community. While there are significant challenges and obstacles to overcome, there is also hope and resilience among the Somali people. The situation in Somalia is complex and dangerous, with ongoing conflicts and security challenges affecting many communities across the country. Armed groups, such as Al-Shabaab, have been responsible for numerous attacks, including bombings and shootings, that have targeted civilians, government officials, and aid workers. In addition to the threat of violence, communities in Somalia also face other dangers, such as the risk of famine and drought, which can result in food shortages and displacement. Poor infrastructure and limited access to healthcare also pose risks to the health and well-being of individuals and communities. Furthermore, many people in Somalia have been forced to flee their homes due to the violence and insecurity in the country, with a significant number seeking refuge in neighboring countries such as Kenya and Ethiopia. The displacement of individuals and families can lead to further challenges, including difficulties in accessing basic services and the risk of exploitation and abuse. Overall, the danger in Somali communities is a serious issue that requires attention and action from both the government and the international community. Efforts are needed to address the root causes of conflict and insecurity, as well as to provide support and assistance to those affected by violence and displacement. Somalia has also been known for piracy in the Indian Ocean and Gulf of Aden for over a decade. The root causes of piracy in Somalia are complex and include poverty, unemployment, lawlessness, and the absence of effective governance and maritime security. Pirates in Somalia are typically individuals or groups who operate from small boats and attack commercial vessels in order to capture them and demand ransom payments for the release of the crew and cargo. These pirates are often armed and use sophisticated equipment such as speed boats and automatic weapons. The pirates in Somalia have been known to hijack ships and hold the crew for ransom, sometimes for months or even years. In addition to the financial demands, pirates have been known to use violence and intimidation tactics to achieve their objectives, which has resulted in harm to crew members and damage to the ships. International naval forces have been deployed to the region to combat piracy and protect commercial shipping. However, piracy off the coast of Somalia remains a significant threat, with reports of attacks and hijackings continuing to occur, albeit at a lower frequency than in previous years. It's worth noting that piracy in Somalia has also had a negative impact on the local communities, including the fishing industry and small-scale coastal trade. The pirate activities have disrupted the livelihoods of the coastal communities and harmed the overall economic development of the region. Due to the ongoing drought and famine, many Somali children suffer from malnutrition and starvation. In 2011, it was estimated that over 260,000 people died of famine, with many of them being children. Many families have been forced to leave their homes and seek refuge in overcrowded displacement camps, where conditions are often dire. Somalia has one of the highest maternal and infant mortality rates in the world. Many women and children die from preventable causes, such as complications during childbirth, lack of access to basic health care, and malnutrition. In many rural areas, women have little to no access to health care, and midwives are often the only health care providers available. Children in Somalia have been recruited as child soldiers by various armed groups, including Al-Shabaab. Many of these children are forced to commit violent acts and are subjected to physical and psychological abuse. Some children have been orphaned by the conflict and have no choice but to join armed groups to survive. Many Somali refugees have fled the conflict and sought refuge in neighboring countries, such as Kenya and Ethiopia. However, these refugees often face discrimination and poor living conditions in refugee camps. In some cases, refugees have been forcibly repatriated to Somalia, despite the ongoing conflict and insecurity. On the other hand, Somalia has a very rich culture and history. Somali culture is rich in superstitions, and many Somalis still believe in and adhere to these beliefs. Here are some examples of Somali superstitions. Evil eye. It is believed that jealousy and envy can cause harm to people, particularly children. To protect against the evil eye, people may wear a talisman or use other methods such as reciting prayers or burning incense. Charms and amulets. Many Somalis believe in the power of charms and amulets to protect against harm or bring good luck. These may include things like beads, shells, or animal bones, and are often worn as jewelry. Black magic. Some Somalis believe in the power of black magic, or seer, which is believed to be used by certain individuals to harm others. To protect against seer, people may recite prayers or seek the help of a traditional healer. Dreams. Somalis believe that dreams can be a sign of good or bad things to come, and may interpret their dreams as a way of understanding the future. Taboos. Somalis have many taboos, or harams, which are believed to bring bad luck or harm if violated. These may include things like eating certain foods, wearing certain colors, or going certain places. That's all for today's episode on Somalia. We hope you found it informative and engaging. If you did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Also, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and share it with your friends and family to spread awareness about the crisis in Somalia. And we want to hear from you. Do you have any other ideas on how we can make a difference? Let us know in the comments section below. Remember, we're all in this together and every little bit counts. So, let's continue to stay informed and take action to make the world a better place. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.